getting ready to go see BBs. So typically all my mornings kind of look the same right now. Putting together lunches. I got my breakfast smoothie, 3/4 cup of oatmeal. We've got protein powder, flaxseed, frozen banana, spinach. I use like half coconut water and half water, and peanut butter. That's pretty much it. So good. Vanilla protein powder, by the way. Green power smoothie. So one of my friends set us up on a meal train, so we've been getting a lot of meals delivered to our house. So that's been a lifesaver, like absolute lifesaver, especially with how much time we've been spending at the NICU right now. Hubby had to go back to work today. He didn't want him. I didn't want him to. I got emotional. I did shed some tears over it. So right now I have like this Mexican casserole with quinoa, and then my ancestral burger that I use. It's a burger heart and liver blend. So the nutrients, it's like even better than just beef by itself. We're gonna add avocado. So I have been increasing my macros since the second trimester because I wanted to be at a higher caloric or macro intake by the 4th trimester breastfeeding because of milk supply. I am not working out right now because of C-section. We'll get to the story here shortly, but I haven't done any form of workouts right now. Some stretching. The extent of my workout has been the walking I'm doing around the house, to my car, in and out of the hospital. So I finally get to use my diaper bag. I got this with Kinsley, for Kinsley. Then of course we never got to use it. Petunia pickle bottom. So it does open up here. So you get a changing pad, and this does come off. So you have this little pad that you can kind of put anywhere. It comes with a little for your wipes. It has a ton of pockets everywhere, like on the outside. There's one right here, unzips. There's a ton of, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pockets on the inside. It's very open and spacious on the inside. And then I have another little that came with it, a little, not sure what you would use this for. You can use it for anything probably. So I have that as well. It's been actually really awesome to bring with me to the NICU. I can fit a lot in here. My Mom Cozy electric portable pumps. I love them, but I don't love them. So I got these with my first pregnancy. Been using them obviously religiously now. They were a little troublesome to figure out and to get a good pump and get all the milk out. I found that if any of these are not sealed correctly, it doesn't work. If the battery is at all half battery, it doesn't work as good. The suction doesn't work as good. So I have to charge it every time after use, which is not the best because that's not what you want to do with these, right? And I feel like it doesn't get as much milk out as like the electric pumps that you pump into the wall. Would I recommend these? Yes and no. I probably won't get another one just because I spent $200 something on these. So I only use these on my drive to the hospital, or if I need to do something where I need to be hands-free and can't be plugged into the wall. So that's typically what I'll use these for. And I do have an electric plug-in pump here at the house, and there's one at the hospital. So I use that as much as possible. So we've got last night's and middle of the night's pumps here. So I'm typically getting anywhere from 4 to 6 ounces every time I pump. It's crazy how your body just knows how much your baby needs. I'm not too worried about trying to be an oversupplier or trying to get all this extra milk. I just want to make sure that he has enough. If we have extra, great. I'm going to be somewhat of an exclusive breastfeeder, but not really. So I'm gonna have some extra milk for some bottles, and if I need to get away and go do something, we'll have some bottles that he can have. So that's kind of like my goal with the breastfeeding bottle thing, but we'll see how it goes. So I encapsulated my placenta. So I did it from a local gal. I was gonna do it online, but because of how fast everything happened, obviously I didn't have time to order all this stuff to be sent to me. So I ended up, the hospital recommended somebody here in my town, local, that she did it, which ended up being, it worked out so well. So I've been taking this since the first week, since my first week postpartum. Literally, like, it was 4 days postpartum or 3 days postpartum. She took the placenta, she did her thing, gave it back to me the next morning. So I've had this and I've been taking this, which there's so many benefits of taking your placenta. It helps with postpartum depression and hormones and healing and recovery and all the other nutrients that are in your placenta. If you can, try to encapsulate your placenta. It's the best thing you could do. I have been really good about being on top of my diet and staying hydrated and resting. So a combination of all those things, of course, help. And can't forget, I do still take all my supplements. So I'm still taking my magnesium before bed. So this is the Garden of Life Calm. And collagen, still taking my collagen. Y'all, if you've had a C-section or just in general, this is the best thing you could be taking to help with recovery, because C-section, for one, all of those, all the skin, the ligaments, the muscles, this is going to really help with your healing. And of course, fiber, keeping everything moving. And then of course, my fiber, keeping everything moving. All right, we got these babies in. We're gonna pump while we drive. I'm like Madonna. It never gets old. I love it so much. It makes me happy when skies are gray. Come here. Good morning. Hi.
And then check in pulses. I want to make sure.
Hi, mister. Are you all wigglies today? You're nice and awake. Oh, yeah. You ready for mommy's booby?
So we just did some breastfeeding practice with the lactation nurse. Are you still going? You trying to find a booby? I think you are. I think we're starting to get a little bit sleepy now, huh? We did lots of practice with the lactation nurse because he's been showing a lot of willingness and excitement, you know, showing all the cues to breastfeed. So we had the lactation nurse in here this morning to kind of assess and see where he's at, and we're literally on the right track, and they've been very impressed because he's 33 weeks, going to be for 34 weeks, and the fact that he's showing this early. I was saying he's an overachiever. He's an overachiever. Yes, you're doing so good. We tried a nipple shield, which was this little guy, so it goes over your nipple, and it has little holes in it, so the milk, if there's milk, milk still comes out. He didn't like that very much. He wanted my actual nipple. Starting to get chunkier and more clumpy. He's 5 pounds today. Oh, look at that head lift. And he's got a little stork bite. That means that he was kissed by an angel. He has one here. He has one on his ankle. What are you doing? He has care times that are 8, 11, 2, and 5 during the day and in the middle of the night. And this is where the nurses come in. They check all his vitals and then start his feed. So that's typically when I would do breastfeeding, because when he's awake, practice breastfeeding, and then we hold him skin to skin.
Oh, big sneeze.
So I know I'm starting this video with baby first before the actual birth story, but
I'm so excited. I can't help but share him. Look at his little chunkiness coming in. He's doing so good.
so he's been doing really good. He's had no issues or complications at all. He was just born early. He needed a little help for 3 to 4 days right after he was born with the CPAP. So it's basically just pressure going in, helps with his lungs. He needed antibiotics for the first week. Also caffeine. The caffeine was being administered, but helps them to remind them to breathe. But he was making so much progress. They took the CPAP off pretty quick, so he didn't need that. A tube going into his belly button, so his umbilical, and that's how they would take his blood draws instead of poking him all the time. He did have to do blue light therapy, which helped with bilirubin. So he needed that they took him off, so he's been off that for a week. But me and the hubby have been so diligent with skin on skin, just being here for him, which, you know, it helps them with their progress. And I think it really helped that we were just here and doing his care and holding him and doing skin on skin as much as we have been. But yeah, now he's off literally everything, so he just has the little watch his heart rate and his breathing. Still has the feeding tube because he's still immature in that aspect. So his digestive tract, his tummy, obviously his latch and suck is all just still super immature, so he needed to be fed through the tube. I started pumping right away, and we've been very consistent with being on his schedule. So I pump every 3 hours. I pump at his feeding time, so we're on the same schedule. And they've been just using all of my breast milk. He was on donor milk at first until my milk came in, and we thought it was going to be a while that my milk was not going to come in because of C-section. You know, everything just happened so fast. I've been consistent. I'm a routine person, so I've been super consistent and on it. What's going to be the really deciding factor for him to go home is going to be that breastfeeding. If he's going to be able to feed, or even if it's not even breast but bottle, you know, so either one or the other. So we got to practice that, and it could happen really fast, or it could be a couple more weeks. Yeah, we don't know when he's going to go home yet. So we do spend like 10-11 hours here every day. It's my full-time job right now, or actually forever now. But I truly believe that just us being here and doing all the things that we've been doing has really helped with his progress. You know, they need that. All right, I knew you guys been waiting for this, but the birth story. But it started out as a Friday morning. I was just turned 32 weeks, but I woke up at 4 in the morning because he was kicking like crazy. Like he was using my cervix as a punching bag. I don't know what he was doing, but he was kicking and flailing so hard that I thought a limb came out my vajayjay. Like I had to check a couple of times, like finger up there, because I was like, oh my God, he just kicked out my cervix. Everything was fine, no big deal. So I was like, okay, went back to sleep. And then when I actually woke up about like, I don't know, 8 o'clock, went to the bathroom, I had very light bleeding. So I was like, ooh. So I texted my midwife, and, you know, I let her know what had happened. And she, you know, said, oh, it could just be that your cervix is starting to thin now that I'm at 32 weeks. And she said, if you really think, or they start cramping, she was asking me all these questions. And she didn't feel the need for us to do anything. We'll just kind of monitor through the weekend. And of course the bleeding went away. Everything was fine. Everything was back to normal. And if you guys remember my previous YouTube video, I shared that I went into labor and delivery because of bleeding after sex. I mean, they ran a bunch of tests, and they even checked my cervix. My cervix was closed, it was tight, no concerns, everything looked great. He looked great, my uterus looked great, placenta looked great, everything was good. So that was like almost maybe like 3 weeks before that. Coming back to this weekend, me and the hubby, like, we had date night, we took the boat out, we were fishing, we stayed out really late fishing, And the whole weekend I was like, I've been having Braxton Hicks all previous weeks before that, so I figured I was just having more Braxton Hicks, and I figured I had a lot of gas pains because it felt like when you have to poop really bad and you might have a lot of gas, or maybe that constipation feeling. Even though I wasn't constipated, I was pooping so much. I even told my husband, I was like, wow, I was like, I have already pooped like 3 times today, and this was going into the whole weekend. And I was like, this just must be a new 3rd trimester symptom that I'm just gonna be pooping a lot. Having like the tightening and the Braxton Hicks, and they were very inconsistent. It was kind of so random. It was never a very consistent time, but overall I felt pretty good. So we just enjoyed our weekend, and then come Sunday it was our like rest day. Like we weren't gonna do anything, so we just watched movies and had pizza, and just I felt really good. There's no concerns at all. Still, I was like, wow, Braxton Hicks are a little extra. So come that Monday, which was September 9th, got up and I did my normal workout, which everything I felt like I had a lot of pressure in my pelvis. Still having those Braxton Hicks and some of those like gas pains. I was doing work. A bunch of my girlfriends were putting on a little birthday party for me at her house that night. So because my birthday was going to be the next day, but they wanted to do something for me the day before. I was getting ready to leave. It was about 5:30, so I leave the house. Everything was great. I go drive down to her house. I get to her house around 6 o'clock in the evening, and still having the Braxton Hicks and gas pains. And I remember telling them, they're like, how are you doing? I was like, I'm kind of uncomfortable. I think, just going into the 3rd trimester, and just having these like the Braxton Hicks, and I was telling them all about it. While I was sitting there with them, I felt this gush, and I was like, did I just pee myself? So a lot of times when he would move, he would kick my bladder, and I would feel like I'd have to pee myself. So I thought that's what it was. So I'm walking up to the bathroom, and I kind of put my hand down there to see how wet it was. And I was like, wow, it's really wet. And I looked at my hand, it was blood. I go into the bathroom, and the blood just gushed out of me. I was like, oh my God, like I was mortified. And then I go to wipe. I saw on the toilet paper, it looked like this huge chunk of like discharge, or it was mucusy, and I was thinking it was probably my mucus plug. And I texted the picture to my midwife, and I was like, what do I do? And she's like, go to labor and delivery right now. I didn't have any cramping or pain or anything. It was just a lot of blood, and I was mortified and so scared. A ton of toilet paper and just stuff it in there. I drove myself to the hospital, called the husband, and I'm just bawling my eyes out and tell him, and he's like, okay, I'll meet you there. And so in the hospital for us is only like 20-25 minutes away, so it's really close. So we get to labor and delivery. I get out the car, and husband comes running over, and he's like, are you okay? And I'm just bawling. I was like, I'm so scared. It makes me emotional right now because, oh my God, like the trauma that we've been through, the previous trauma. And so like in my head, I'm just thinking, oh my God, are we gonna lose him? Then I would feel him kick and move around, so I was like, okay, well, he's moving at least. So we get in there, and I'm crying, and I'm holding all these like paper towels and stuff down there. So they immediately admit me and get me back to one of their delivery rooms, and they get me all hooked up. They give me like their little handies with the pad, and so I lay down, and then I started to notice, I started paying more attention to the pains, the gas pains, and I realized that they were starting to be more consistent. And I was like, I didn't really pay attention to them the whole weekend of how consistent they were, but I noticed that they were like consistent. It was like almost every 5 minutes, and I'm like, those might be contractions. I finally calmed down, and they get me all hooked up, and then they're gonna do all these tests, and they're gonna do an ultrasound, and they're gonna check everything. And sure enough, they're like, oh yeah, you are having contractions, and you've probably been having contractions all weekend. So I had been in labor all weekend and didn't even know it. Did an ultrasound, and they were thinking it might have been a placental abruption. Checked him, they checked the placenta. Amniotic fluid looked good, placenta looked good, he looked good. So they're like, huh, okay. So the next thing is like, we're gonna check your cervix. And I was 4 centimeters dilated. It was like, didn't even faze me. I just continued on my day. So what their plan was to try to stop labor. We're gonna give a steroid shot that helps with his lungs just in case. And they were gonna give me some other stuff to help like calm my uterus from contracting. You know, they're doing all their paperwork. They're talking to the on-call doctors, the midwife. They're like, oh yeah, we're gonna keep you overnight. So the hubby's like, okay, I'll run home, take care of the dogs and grab some stuff. So he leaves. The midwife comes in, this is an hour later. She checks me again and she's like, so you were dilated about 5'6". So I had progressed even more. I was 100% effaced, so my cervix was so thinned out and my water bag was bulging through my cervix. Now he was still breech, so his feet were still down and his head was over to my right side. So, but my midwife said he wasn't pushing on my cervix or my water bag at all. But she was like, I didn't even want to touch it. I had to be really careful because she didn't want to accidentally pop it and then lead to this cascade of emergency events, right? We're gonna talk to the on-call doctor and see where we wanna go with this. And so they go talk and come back and she's like, so we're gonna call it. So you were having a baby tonight. And so they were just playing it safe. At this point, there's no point in stopping labor. So we're just gonna do a C-section because he's breech and there was no way that we're gonna have, without my water bag popping, like getting him turned around. Like it just wasn't gonna happen. So we're like C-section and I was like, that's fine. I just want him here healthy. That's all I want. So I had to call Nick. I was like, hey, because he's grabbing stuff at home. I was like, so we're having a baby tonight. And he's like, oh my God. And I was like, we're gonna wait for you to get here for the C-section. So you know, just grab the stuff and get here. Me all ready to go, and then Nick shows up and you're just gonna have to wait while we get her prepped and stuff, and then we'll have you come back. And you know, of course we're like nerves, and you know, it's taking us back to Kinsley when, you know, that was the same situation. We had to take me back, and then it turned emergency and he could never come back, and then him walking in on them resuscitating Kinsley because a nurse was like, come meet your living baby. Yeah, drama, right? We're just trying to be as positive as possible because he was doing amazing, like healthy, no issues. They get me all prepped, and the doctor, the midwife, the nurses, the anesthesiologist, I mean, talk about healing experience, an amazing experience. They were amazing. They were just so gentle and sensitive and just caring and everything, and getting me prepped, and we were just joking and just having a great old laugh and great conversation. Then they bring Nick back and he got to sit by me, you know, the whole time, hold my hand through the whole process. They got him out, and as soon as they got through my uterus, a little foot just went and popped out. And and they were kind of laughing because they were like, he really doesn't want to leave. Like they were trying to get him out, and he was just like, he's like just really tucked in there. So got him out. I was able to see his face kind of from across the room, and I was just like, oh my God. Neither of me or Nick cried at all. We were just so like surreal. It was like one of those moments where we were just like, we're here. Like, this is happening. Nick was able to walk with them to the NICU and walk with him, talk about redemption birth and healing. I couldn't have asked for it to go any better than it was. And even going into the recovery room, the nurses, all the night nurses, I mean, the amount of care, the love and the support that they gave us. And everybody knew our past as well. When I say it couldn't have gone any better, like, I am not exaggerating that. Like, me and Nick just had such a great experience. And even just with the C-section this time, just the healing, I feel way, way, way better than I did the first time. I even asked the doctor about like the shelf, you know, I was like, is there anything that you can do to like fix it while you're down there? And he's like, it's kind of hard unless you do like actual cosmetic surgery, right? He's like, it's just kind of like how you would heal up. But when he actually went down to, you know, cut open, and he's like, you do not have a lot of scar tissue down there. He's like, whatever you did keep it up. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna do that this second time around. He said it looked so good in there. There was hardly any scar tissue. So yeah, I pay it to the massage, the stretching, the collagen, the supplementing collagen, and all my high protein diet and just food in general. I owe it to all of that. Why did I go into labor? Did they know what happened? They couldn't really give me an answer to why my body went into labor early. There is suspicion, so because I had BV, and I had BV twice, there is suspicion that even though my last test came back negative, that it might have been still lingering, because BV can actually cause preterm labor. And then the reason I had BV was it's pregnancy, it's hormones, everything's changing, so things that you don't really have control over. So that is suspicion that could have caused preterm labor, but they didn't really have any answers as to why, because he was healthy, I'm healthy, all my levels, everything were coming back beyond excellent. So sometimes you just don't have control over what's gonna happen, and we're just so grateful that everything has gone as well as it has, and he's perfect, healthy, he's perfect, he's beautiful. We're here. That is our birth story, and here we are with a healthy baby boy, and we've been waiting for this moment forever, since we got pregnant the very first time, which was in 2021. Had a miscarriage at 8 weeks, and then we got pregnant with Kinsley, went 39 weeks, lost her, and now we're here with the third, and he comes at 32 weeks. I swear our life is just, it's all over the place. It never goes as planned. But we really just roll with it and just, you know, take each day as it comes. And I couldn't have asked for a better husband. Support from my partner, like, he has been beyond amazing. Beyond amazing. Just love him so much, and it has made me, I cried about it a lot. Just so happy to see him become a father, because he's been wanting to be a dad since high school. That's all his vision was. So to finally be here and to watch him with him is just, my heart. I just die and I come alive every time. My heart just melts. Yeah, he came out at 4 pounds, almost 4 pounds, 8.8 ounces, so almost 9 ounces. He was a little plump baby. So it's very interesting, because me and hubby were only 7-pound babies. They are very small built people, and a lot of 7-pound babies. So we were expecting that he'd be at least 7 pounds. But the fact that he was about 5 pounds at 32 weeks makes me wonder, if he went full term and cooked in that belly a little bit longer, if he would have been like an 8-pound baby. But I owe it to mom. Fed him well. I ate very well. And his name is Riker J. Cadell. So we got R-Y-K-E-R, Riker, J, J-A-Y, and J is my dad's middle name. And my dad has passed away. He's been passed away since, it's been like 15 years, I believe. So we wanted to carry on something with my dad. So he could be called RJ, he could be Rai Rai. I'm sure there will be a lot of nicknames in there. I've been calling him Bud a lot. Oh, but last but not least, the NICU is not for the weak. It's very draining because you spend a lot of time in the hospital. You know, you have constantly people coming in and out, you know, but talk about the most excellent care. It's like the most expensive babysitters you'll have. He's definitely in good hands. The NICU nurses here, phenomenal. Our experience has been amazing. They have been amazing with him, and how much that we've learned just in the last 2 weeks. What they do, and then of course learning him as new parents and learning a newborn as new parents. And trying to build that bonding time is really hard, because you're not in your safe place, right? You're comfortable where you're comfortable, you're home. So you're trying to do that bonding process here with all the wires hooked up, and you know, trying to get them in and out of their little crib thing here, and trying to change diapers with having all the cords on them, and bath times. It's just, there's a lot of stuff that's in the way, right? And so you're bonding time's a little interfered. So those are the things that are pretty rough when it comes to you, but all the thoughts that run through your head, but at the same time, all the positives outweigh the negatives. So I gotta keep reminding myself that. And I think the hardest part is going home, because you're not taking your baby home, and that does trigger a lot with Kinsley, losing Kinsley and going home without Kinsley, going home without a baby. The first week was pretty rough. I cried a lot, and I would cry at everything. Hormones don't help. But then I kind of balanced out, and I just had to keep reminding myself that he's in such good hands and that he will be coming home soon, and he's healthy, he's doing so good. So I have to keep reminding myself that, but it is hard going home without your baby. And then you're at home, like, you're pumping and you're like, what do I do? Like, this feels wrong, you know, and you have guilt of leaving him here and not being there with him. And so there's a lot of things that go through your head, a lot of emotions you feel, there's a lot of up and downs. But as soon as you're here and as soon as you hold them, it's like all gone. Everything's gone. Put you back in your little swaddle. So we have these little octopuses that are like for scent. So we'll wear them in our clothes, and we'll wear them for a certain amount of time. Then we bring them in and we just put them next to them like this, so they can always have our smell. So I usually just put it in my bra. Sweet dreams, baby boy.